Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some Path of Exile 1 discussion. Welcome to one of the last days of patch 3.28 and the Mirage League teaser season. Today, Grady Games have given us a range of news related to small things about what's coming up. This is going to be a shorter video than we've had recently though, because the patch note changes in particular are very short today. The first piece of news, though, is actually something that wasn't from a Grady Games official post. This is something that came out in the dev interview. The Jung Rowan streamer was interviewing Octavian and also Andrew from Grady Games in game design there. And one of the things that they mentioned that was quite juicy is that there's going to be something called a Volatile Vaal Orb. Now, we already knew this was going to exist, but we found out a little bit of what they do. And it's a Path of Exile 2 inspired Vaal Orb. So one of the things it can do is modify the numeric values on a unique item beyond normal limits. So potentially, we'll have to see whether this exists or not, but you can get a Mage Blood where that magic number 4 is nudged up to a new magic number of 5. And that could be very strong indeed. So that's one thing to look forward to. My intuition is that maybe that drops from expedition encounters that are reflected, just because it was the only thing that seemed to have any thematic link. A Volatile Vaal Orb. It's not something that's Vaal themed, because we already know the rewards for the Vaal themed content that you can reflect. That's the Trial Master. And as a result, I focused in on the volatile word and thought, well, volatile, explosion, there's a bit of a thematic link there. I'm not sure that I'm right. I could very well be wrong, but that's where I'm going to start looking for Volatile Vaal Orbs, which might have some quite interesting results. After that, Grady Games also teased the Mirage cosmetic MTX that you'll get for completing 36 challenges. This is the Orb Regalia set. Now, this one's interesting in that it is themed around the Regal Orb. That's why it's blue and gold. Blue for magic items, gold for rare items, but have a very close look at the artwork for a Regal Orb, and you'll see what I'm getting at. Now, this also has the face that's present on the Regal Orb, of course, although that's something that you can turn off if you prefer your character's default look. Now, if you want to tone down the amount of blue that's on it, you can do that. You can make it so that there's more gold at the expense of some of the blue, and that's an option with this cosmetic MTX as well. Getting to 36 challenges is no small task if you're someone, like there's been a few people asking this question, Path of Exile 2 players that want to use this in POE 2, and they're curious as to how much POE 1 they're going to need to play to get the whole set. The answer is quite a lot. In Path of Exile 2 terms, this would be the equivalent of beating maybe Uber Arbiter plus all of the top versions of all of the Pinnacle bosses, plus doing a bunch of just other weird and wonderful things throughout maps, like for instance, defeating an Abyss that's possessed a rogue Exile, defeating 72 Essence influenced monsters, completing 100 in-map ritual events. It's quite a lot that'll be required. We don't have the exact list yet. We'll get the exact list probably at some point tomorrow. So anyways, that's the Orb Regalia armor set. That's going to be available for completing challenges inside the Mirage League. Now, there is one other MTX related thing, but I want to get to a new gem first, and this is Searing Bond of Detonation. Searing Bond is a gem that kind of always gets a little bit left in the dust by Fire Trap. They do similar things. Both of them provide a way of inflicting fire damage over time to enemies. However, while Searing Bond does have slightly higher numbers in certain circumstances, most of the time Fire Trap does the job overall better. Searing Bond of Detonation provides you a way to scale it up further by overloading the amount of totems that you've got. Now, this can be quite difficult to use because overloading the number of totems that you've got is something that takes quite a substantial amount of time. Once you do it though, your Searing Bond of Detonation will apply its effect to a monster for an extended period of time after the totem itself actually detonates. It will then just leave a lingering fire damage over time debuff on the enemy that was struck, and this burning damage that's applied will deal 30% more damage per totem that's detonated. So if your totem maximum count is 1, then you cast one Searing Bond of Detonation, then you cast another one, and you're going to get 130% baseline damage. However, the +1 to the maximum number of summoned totems per maximum power charge is something you need to factor in into your build. Sometimes you're going to want to go for as many power charges as you can, but I think most of the time actually you might want to consider decreasing your number of maximum power charges so that you can get your Searing Bonds of Detonation to go off reasonably quickly. Maybe you'll keep it just at the baseline 3, but maybe you'll even use some of those terrible jewels that decrease it, and that might be exactly what you need there. So Searing Bond of Detonation, definitely interesting. I'm not sold on this yet, but I know that some people are theory crafting it, and someone is probably going to crack it, and it's probably not terrible, so likely it'll get solved at some point. Next up, we have another MTX promo. This one is for watching Twitch. So we have the Mirage launch Twitch drops. There are two of these. The first one is a Quicksilver Flask MTX. So the Mirage Quicksilver Flask, this is particularly good if you did not buy the Flaming Bull one that was in one of the recent supporter packs. I think it's sort of got about 1 day left on the store. One of the existing supporter packs has that. But if you missed that, the Mirage Quicksilver Flask effect is something that might be an interesting little substitute for it. Or alternately, you might think it's better. Now, if you're a Path of Exile 2 player, you can use this in POE 2, but it will be associated not with Quicksilver Flasks, but with the sprint system. And then we have the other MTX. Now, the previous one, the Mirage Quicksilver Flask, is one that you can get completely free just by watching 3 hours of any stream in the Path of Exile 1 category. And that's in a roughly 1 week period that commences the instant the league goes live. So it goes from the moment the league goes live through to 1 week, and I think it's 16 hours later. That's when that one cuts off. You need to watch a total of 3 hours during that period. The other one is one that you can't get for free. This one, Salah the Tradesmith Djinn, is one of the supporter streamer promos. These things actually are fantastic for those of us that stream. They're basically a way where Grinding Gear Games recognize that a lot of the marketing for the game that they do is done by streamers, and this is something that they do in lieu of instead paying money on traditional marketing systems. So they design an MTX, and most of the proceeds for that MTX go to us rather than going to Grinding Gear Games. Works out well for us, but it also does get them some cheap advertising over on Twitch. Anyways, the way that this promo works is that if you want to get this thing, you need to buy 2 gift subs, or you need to subscribe to 2 channels that are streaming the Path of Exile 1 category during the qualifying period, which is exactly the same qualifying period as for the Mirage Quicksilver Flask effect. So it is 1 week plus 16 hours that'll be valid for. On top of that, there's a little bit of administrivia, a couple of terms and conditions. You probably want to read these things. Probably the most important of these is that Twitch Prime subs do not count for these promos. So that is the last MTX promo, but then I said there were some patch notes and they were pretty small. I wasn't lying when I said they were small. There's only 4 of them, and none of them are particularly massive. First up, breach rooms that are found in the Incursion Temple and Delve. They're back. They're going to have unstable breaches in them now. Secondly, there are 2 divination cards that currently give you a random exceptional gem, Empower, Enlighten, or Enhance. These are going to just give you Empower, Enlighten, or Enhance. They're not going to give you a random exceptional gem, and the cards will not lie to you about what they do. They will tell you that you're going to get Empower, Enlighten, or Enhance at random. After this, there is a Path of Exile 2 MTX, the Crocolisk armor set. This is now available in Path of Exile 1 as well. And finally, we're finishing, leaving the biggest one till last. This is a Ruthless exclusive change, and it is one to the Harrowing Carapace's Atlas Notable, which is now going to bias your scarabs towards being influenced scarabs. So there we go, leaving the most exciting, most exhilarating patch note change in the entire patch notes till last. I'm going to leave it there. May your Vaal Orbs have interesting results.